All right, welcome to the Lowdown, brought to you by Unibet. I'm Dev Sahni, and joining me today is a modern boxing legend, former unified world super bantamweight champion, former featherweight world champion, and in 2015, he realised a dream and was voted coolest man in Britain by Zoo magazine. It's Carl Frampton. How are you, mate?
I'm all right, mate. Yeah, I knew it was coming. I was waiting on it.
There's going to be something.
Very, very prestigious award.
It was. I mean, that's got to be the highlight of your career, right? I mean, people have talked about how, you beat Santa Cruz, you beat Quig. Yeah. You actually beat David Beckham, Tom Hardy, all of these guys too in that year.
Yeah, there was plenty on the list. Tom Hardy came second. Number 2 is my nickname for Tom Hardy. Well, I'm saying nickname. I don't actually know him, but if anyone refers to him, I just call him number 2. So
number 2.
Yeah, I was top of the list, mate.
Yeah, where do you think you'd come now if the poll was redone again, 2021? Zoo magazine still going, still thriving. Are we looking top 10? You're still number 1? What do you think?
Yeah, still kicking about the top 10. I'm happy with that.
You get my vote, Carl. But we're not here to talk about Zoo magazine. Let's talk about 27th of February. It's finally happening. Herring versus Frampton. You must be delighted.
Yeah, just to finally get it over the line, agreed, done. You're always. I've kind of had this date in my head for a while, but until it's announced, you're just waiting, really, and you're still unsure. So finally, good to get a bit of confirmation. Still about 7 weeks away, I believe, something like that. So, but I've been training. I've done about, I think this is week 8 of camp for me. I took my foot off the pedal a wee bit over Christmas, but I'm training. I'm fit. I was sparring before Christmas. I just started sparring again today. So yeah, I'll be up for this fight. Can't wait.
I guess now that there's the actual date there, you can train with a bit more sort of eye of the tiger kind of thing. You actually have something to aim for, whereas before you were just training knowing that it was going to happen at some point soon, but maybe they'll cancel boxing and stuff. You just never know.
No, you're absolutely right. It's hard when you have a date floating about in your head, but it's not actually confirmed. It's hard to put. I think train with the correct intensity that you would train for such a fight with a date. So, I heard today that it's going to be announced. I heard last night that it's going to be announced today. So, pedal to the metal here from here on in.
So what happens now? Do you? Where are you now? Are you in Manchester or you back home?
I'm in Manchester at the minute. Just came over last night. So I'll continue to train. I'll go home a little bit less regularly because I'm just conscious that, I don't want to pick up a fucking virus on a flight or something like that. So I'm gonna stay over here and come home every second weekend rather than every weekend, which is hard, but it's a sacrifice that I just have to make for the sake of this fight happening, I think.
When this fight was first talked about, which feels about 25 years ago, but it was actually a year ago, there was a lot of talk about him going to Belfast for the fight. And, you said at the time, no man born from his mother will beat me in Belfast. Will any man born from his mother beat you in London, England?
No, not as a pro. I was beat as an amateur in London, but not as a professional. But look, I obviously people ask me, was it disappointed it's not going to be in Belfast? And to be honest, I'm not, because I think that I'm just lucky that the fight is actually taking place. There's a lot of fighters who are out of pocket at the minute because they can't fight, and for me to have the chance to fight anywhere in the world, to become a 3-weight world champion, I feel like I'm in a lucky position. But the fact that it's in the UK and still a home fight, I suppose, for me, I can't be complaining at all.
What did you think of his last fight against Jonathan Oquendo? You've both had a fight sort of in between when you were supposed to fight. What did you make of his last performance?
It wasn't great, and I think he would agree with that. And I think I can say that about my own last performance against Darren Trainer. It wasn't great, but I think both of us will need to up our games. It was, I suppose, complacency probably. Well, it did certainly for me. Creep in complacency. I felt that the Darren Trainer couldn't hurt me. It's hard for me to get out of second gear. Jamel Herring was in a bit of a different situation. He was still fighting for a world title. He was defending his world title. But it wasn't a brilliant performance, and I'm not going to say mine was brilliant either. But I looked a lot more comfortable, and we have to remember that although Herring was winning the fight, and he was winning the fight, it was a bit of a controversial ending. We saw and heard from Andre Ward and Timothy Bradley giving a little bit of stick ringside at the commentary, and there was just kind of opened my eyes a little bit, that fight, I think.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Did you learn something new about him? Within the fight and the way it ended, did you get a read on him?
Well, look, it's hard to make judgments on these things, but it's just I don't think he clearly didn't want to fight on. You could, and he had an eye injury, but he didn't want to fight on. I think I'm someone I've never been in that position, but I think I'm someone who would want to stay in there until something happens and forces the fight to be stopped. But it was a strange finish. But look, it is what it is. As long as he won the fight, and the fight with me is still happening.
What are your advantages over Herring? Because when we first saw you two come together, there was a lot of talk about, oh my God, look at the size difference. But I also thought that when I saw Canelo and Callum Smith. I saw that with Canelo and Rocky Fielding. It's only if you know how to use it. So what are your advantages?
I fought big men before, and I don't mind fighting big men. It's true to say that Jamel Herring will be the biggest man that I fought, but sometimes being small in a fight isn't a bad thing. And the examples that you used are Canelo, a lot smaller than the two guys that you fought, Rocky Fielding and Callum Smith, but he was able to use that to his advantage. But I think that Jamel Herring's advantage in the fight is his height and his size, and the fact that he's probably a southpaw and a little bit awkward. That's his advantage. Everything else, I have faster hands on him, I have faster feet. I believe I punch harder on him. I believe I'm tougher than this guy as well. And it's something that he keeps talking about, mental toughness, but he showed a little bit of a lapse there in his last fight. So, we will see. We'll see on the night.
I guess with the mental toughness, and maybe up until that last fight, then a lot of people were pointing to, obviously he was a Marine, and he's represented his country. He's overcome personal tragedy and adversity and all that. So mental toughness, you'd look at him and you'd say, well, but then you're saying maybe after seeing the last fight, you can take something from it.
I think different situations and scenarios bring up different things and different results. And look, he's an extremely tough guy. He's had a tough life, because I think that obviously, and I'm sure he would agree, the biggest thing that's happened, and it's a terrible thing to happen to any father or parent, is the death of a baby. And you need to be mentally tough to get over that. But he's done tours in Iraq, I think. I'm not sure if he maybe went to Afghanistan as well. I think he's done a couple of foreign tours with the US Marine Corps. He's tough, but in that situation against Oquendo, I think there was just a few questions left to be answered. There's another thing that I've noticed a lot about him. He reacts to everything that's said online. Like anything that, people ask me a question, who's going to win the fight? Or, how are you feeling about the fight with Jamel Herring? Of course I'm going to say, I'm extremely confident they're going to win this fight. Of course I'm going to say that. Every time I say something, he feels like he has to react. Tommy Coyle last night says, I think Frampton's going to beat him. And he had to have a go at Tommy Coyle, and he got, he seems to be a nice guy, Jamel, but he called Tommy Coyle a sparring partner. And I think I don't think he needed to go there. And it was a bit unnecessary and a sly dig at Tommy. It's just his opinion. That's all it is. So he gets worked up about people's opinions when someone has a belief that he may not win this fight. And I think that's probably a little bit of, I don't know, just focus on yourself. He said, I'm talking. I'm not talking. I'm answering questions. I'm not shouting my mouth off. I just have extreme confidence that I'm going to win this fight.
So what do you think that is then? Why is he biting back at people on Twitter? Why is he going after Tommy Coyle of all people? Why is he so trigger happy on there?
I don't know. I don't know. I think he has a good relationship. He replies to a lot of people, which is something that we don't see a lot of top sports people do. So, you can credit him for that. But I don't know. He just feels like he has to reply to everything. Maybe look, this fight is, although it's just getting announced, it's the biggest fight he's ever been involved in, and it's the biggest fight it's the fight that's garnering more attention than he's ever had before. So maybe it's just something that he's not used to, and he feels like he has to. But look, each of their own, and every man for themselves, and he can do what he wants. I'm not going to make decisions for him.
He's got Terence Crawford with him. Crawford's like his big mate. I've seen them training together. I've seen a little bit of sparring, although it was like a boomerang on Insta, so I couldn't see the full spar. But I mean, that's got to be something he's got going for him, right? Crawford's top 2 or 3 consensus pound for pound in the world.
Crawford is one of my favorite fighters on the planet to watch. I love everything about him. Really, really like him, but I don't know. Me and Terence Crawford are exact polar opposites. Like, I don't know how beneficial that is, sparring someone like Terence Crawford to prepare for me. Doesn't make sense to me. I don't think, unless Crawford is really taking it easy, he's not winning that spar. I imagine he's having his confidence dented a little bit. It's just, I don't know. I think he may have done, it may have been like a photo opportunity. I may have sparred Crawford once. I don't think it makes much sense to spar someone like Terence Crawford in preparation for me, who's about a full head shorter than him.
Maybe it's the whole iron sharpens iron thing, and you're around a champion like that, and some of it rubs off, kind of thing.
Well, of course, maybe, but I like to employ sparring partners who are going to replicate my opponent, and that's just something that I've done throughout my career. So that's what I'll continue to do.
Do we know who those sparring partners are? Have you got any ideas?
Well, I've had a kid called Connor Coghill, I think. Okay. Tommy Coyles, 8-0 southpaw. Not bad. I've used Anto Kakachi, who can box as good as a southpaw as he is orthodox. And we're going to reach out to Hopi Price as well, a 6-foot featherweight southpaw. I think that's a type of sparring that we're after, and all big, tall southpaws who are similar, I think, to Herring.
Yeah, Kakachi's a good one. You've done thousands of rounds, I'm sure, with Kakachi over the years. He's your big pal as well, isn't he?
Yeah, I like Anto, and it's the thing with Anto is not to discredit Jamel. I haven't felt Jamel's Herring's power. I'm sure because of the size of him, he can punch a bit, but I don't believe he can punch as hard as Anto Kakachi. So throughout that sparring, I need to be switched on, and that's something that sometimes when you're sparring a level below yourself, you kind of switch off and get complacent and get hit with shots you shouldn't be getting hit with. But against Anto, you need to be switched on, or you'll turn your lights out.
How are your hands?
My hands are unreal. Like, people ask me this all the time. They are probably better than they've ever been after the operations. They just feel good. Normally, I always, after every fight since I can remember, I've had sore hands after them. The Darn Trainer fight, I hit him a fair amount. I've hit him a fair amount on the head as well. My hands were fine. So absolutely no issue with my hands.
Good to know. So tell me about the whole no crowd thing. Now you've actually experienced it. Well, you experienced your fight with almost 0 people there, but you're also a pundit at Dubois versus Joyce, where there were family there. So there's a little bit of cheering as well. I guess you're hoping you'll be allowed some family there.
Listen, see, when I fought Trainer, it was just dead, and I didn't like it. I hated it, to be honest. And obviously, I'd done the punditry for Joyce Dubois, and I think they had about 6 or 7 of their families in. So, but 6 or 7 people who are shouting a lot is better than an absolute dead crowd. So, hopefully we can get a handful of people in each to support us. I think it'll just help the atmosphere a bit.
What's driving you, Carl? Is it this legendary status that you want to achieve of becoming Ireland's greatest ever? Yeah, I'm right.
Yeah, like legacy, really. Legacy and becoming the only ever fighter on the island of Ireland to be a 3-weight world champion, one of the only Brits, and to do it the way I've done it the hard way. Like, there hasn't been any easy ones. I've fought and beat champions to become a champion myself. I've unified titles in a division. I've done a fair amount of my career, but legacy is something that I'm striving for, and I want people to talk about me in 30 years' time in the pubs. I want there to be a conversation in 30 years' time when we've got a new crop of talent coming through and we've got amazing fighters coming through, that people are still saying, well, I think Frampton was the best ever. I want that to happen. And to be, I don't know, it's just, that's it really, legacy. And also my kids, to make them proud. I'm pretty sure that, if my dad was a 2-weight world champion, I'd have been very proud of him. But to be a 3-weight, it's, you're talking about potential Hall of Fame type stuff there. So that's what I'm going for.
Well, there's been some great featherweights from the island of Islanders, I'm sure you know. So I guess you'll be looking to make sure you eclipse all of them.
Absolutely. Without getting too big-headed, I'm in with a shout of what I've done already. And some people will say that I'm the best fighter that has came from Ireland already without having won this 3rd-weight world title. But I think if I do that, I'll be happy to say it myself.
Good man. Well, that's a super featherweight then. You've won titles at super bantam, featherweight. Hopefully you can get super featherweight. There's a lot going on at 135 pounds right now. Have you got sort of an eye on it? Are you thinking,
nah,
I'd love to get, no, you're too small.
Nah, way too small. Look, I'm a realist too. I'm too small for them guys. A lot of them are big. At 135, they're big guys too. But I think that, I'm confident that I can become a 3-weight world champion. Someone like Jamel Herring, because of his height, he wouldn't look out of place at 135 or even 140. He wouldn't look out of place. But I just don't have the right dimensions to go up that far.
Well, you see someone like Teofimo Lopez against Lomachenko. Maybe Lopez is coming down from welterweight to get down to lightweight. You see Lomachenko up.
Yeah, people. I'm coming down from welterweight. I'm a fat lad coming down from welterweight. So I just don't think I have the right dimensions to tackle them boys at 135.
Well, if you're sticking around at 130, there is a kid coming up who's making a lot of noise, who maybe is going to go on to 135 and beyond afterwards. Shakur Stevenson. So he's got his sights on that title as well. I saw an interview with him recently where he was asked about yourself, and he was asked, why would you beat Carl Frampton? And he said, because Carl Frampton is too small. What do you think about that?
Well, he can say what he wants, and I have great respect for Shakur. I think he's a very, very talented fighter, very, very good fighter. And I think that, there's talk about him going up through the weight divisions, but people have said that about me before, but what I was always told was we're all at one height lying down, so it doesn't matter. That's a different analogy used for another situation, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And you seem to be in his sights. I guess you're probably the biggest name in the division. You can say that at 130 pounds right now, and that's probably why he's really gunning for you a little bit. Apparently, he's got like a bet that he's made with someone. Someone bet him that he couldn't knock you out, and he's bet that he can knock you out, and he wants to fulfill that bet. Are you aware of this? Have you heard of this?
I haven't. I'm not aware of that, but look, it's all bluster, isn't it? Really. I wouldn't say he's the most tremendous puncher in the world, and that might be his issue when he goes up through the weight divisions. Although he's gifted, he's very, very good, but I don't think he's the biggest, most monstrous puncher in the world.
Well, speaking of monstrous punchers, what did you make of Gervonta Davis knocking out your old mate Leo Santa Cruz?
Oh, what a shot! One of the most perfect punches you'll ever see in your lifetime. And he was looking for it as well. He threw it a few times in the lead up to landing it. And Santa Cruz was doing okay in the fight. I think I was, if the sixth round had finished, I would have had the fight scored at 4-2 in Gervonta Davis's favor. And then you're starting to think, well, the second half of the fight is the part that kind of suits Santa Cruz a bit more. But it was an unbelievable knockout, one of the best you'll ever see.
You said to me before, heading into that fight, that yourself against Gervonta Davis would be a better fight than Santa Cruz against Davis. Do you still feel that way?
Yeah, I think so. Just with styles, and styles make fights. And you could see that Gervonta Davis didn't respect anything that was coming back from Santa Cruz in terms of power. And I think me and Leo are different types of fighters. And watching them, I watched him on the Wilder Ortiz undercard when he fought someone. I think it was for winning a vacant title at 130. I can't even remember the guy's name. Flores. That was his name.
Yeah, Miguel Flores, I think.
Yeah. And he just didn't look brilliant. He looked like, I don't know, a shell of himself, really. So, yeah. I would stand by that comment that me and Davis is a better fight than Davis and Santa Cruz. I'm not saying I beat him, but I'm saying it's a better fight.
Would he respect your power then?
He'd respect my power more than Leo's, absolutely.
So tell us then, it's not Gervonta Davis, it's not none of these guys, it's Jamel Herring. It's February 27th. It's your chance to become a 3-weight world champion. What is going to happen in there?
I'm going to win the fight. I'm extremely confident that I'm going to win this fight. It's going to be difficult. I believe that sheer height and size and physicality is going to make it difficult for me. But I don't know. I've just extreme confidence in myself and a full belief that I'm going to win this fight. And the opportunity to become a 3-weight world champion it's dangling there in front of me. The opportunity to be able to call myself the greatest ever fighter Ireland's ever produced is dangling there in front of me, and that's what I intend to do. That's what I want, and I'll do whatever it takes to win this fight.
All right, I think that's a good place to leave it, unless there's anything you want to add.
Nope, that's it, mate.
All right. Well, Carl, it's been a pleasure speaking to 2015 Zoo Magazine's Coolest Man of the Year, and I'm sure I'll speak to you again, mate.
Cheers, Dev.
All right. Good luck, mate. Take care. Bye-bye.